Jai Sadgurudev and hello. Video number part 6. The narration of book Sadguru Divya Charitavali. The supernatural performances of Sadguru Maharishi Shri Sadafal Deo Ji Maharaj. Written by Aacharya Shri Chandra Deo Ji Maharaj. Page number 26 and onwards. The incident starts here. In the same trip, I stayed at a disciple's house one night near Sitamarhi. A devotee who was accompanying me used to anoint Brahmi oil on my head daily in the evening. When he did not massage oil on that particular night, words of Gurudev appeared. He is not a good attendant. He did not apply oil in this night. Not only this, he reprimanded the devotee also. This is how you have come to service? You did not apply the oil tonight? These soothing words of Shri Sadguru Deo Ji had appeared in the night 3 years after his death. I returned to Muzaffarpur around noon by bus from the village. I washed my head and sat in a lonely place in seclusion. After some time, words of Gurudev appeared. Make him a recluse. He is suffering a lot. I was struck at these clear words of Sri Swamiji, and I inquired as to whom should I convert into a recluse. Swamiji spoke loudly. Who else is there? It is he alone. I then understood his import. He was asking me to convert his younger brother into a recluse, but he could not become a recluse, and it is only this year in the month of Agrahan that he breathed his last. Next incident. I was sleeping on the roof of a building of a disciple at Ghusuri in Kolkata. In the Brahma Muhurt at about 3 a.m. in the night, a man raised me up slowly from behind with his soft hands and made me sit on the bed. When I saw myself seated, I started looking around for the man who had done so. I started doing meditation. Next incident. At the same place, when I was sleeping in the noon, just a day before it, a person hit me hard on my legs with his hand. Immediately then, I got up and looked for the man, but there was no one. Next incident. On the eve of the death of Sri Swamiji, a photographer had taken his photograph at the Jhusi cave at Prayag, but nobody could remember the address of the photographer. When I returned to the Vritikut ashram at Pakri, the event flashed in my mind. I was feeling quite uneasy for not being able to know the address of the photographer. One evening at around 8 p.m., when I sat in for yoga, Sri Swamiji told me the full address of the photographer, including his name of the town, and the Muhalla locality of the town wherein he was residing. I immediately noted down the address of the photographer. When I inquired from a student about the photographer's address in writing, I got the confirmation that there was a photographer of that name and that he had the photograph of Sri Swamiji with him and that he was asking rupees 30 for the photograph. Quite a heavy sum for a photograph in those days. I then went to Kasi and obtained the photograph by paying the charge. It must be borne in mind here that I had received the address of photographer 1 year after the death of Sri Swamiji through his heavenly revelation. Next incident. 2 disciples used to remain near the Samadhi of Sri Sadguru Deo Ji at Jhusi. One night, when one of the disciples got up, he saw a great sage firmly seated in deep meditation at a place little down towards the river side near the Samadhi. He then requested the other disciple to accompany him for an audience with the meditating saint. But when he forbade him, he did not go. Afterwards, they heard coughing sounds 2 times from the meditating saint. But due to ignorance and ill luck, they could not approach the saint. When night faded away and the boats started plying in the Ganga, the saint could not be seen. The great sage had remained seated there for nearly 5 to 6 hours. At the time this great being had appeared at the Samadhi at Jhusi, I was camping at Gaya. I used to see Sadguru Deo Ji seated in a state of Samadhi there. But I wondered why Swamiji sat at Samadhi at that place. For about a week, whenever I sat in meditation early in the morning, I got this vision vividly. At the time of his death, Sadguru Deo Ji had told me all about this. At that time itself, Swamiji had told me of his reappearance in full human form to allay my doubts. He had further told me to brief the 2 disciples accordingly so that they could go near him and place their thoughts before him. He would then reveal everything to them. But I forgot it, and I could not inform the 2 disciples. Later on, when I saw Sri Sadguru Deo Ji in full human form, I could know of everything explicitly about his life. Next incident. Once before this incident, I had seen a saint at the Samadhi during evening hours. People took it to be Swamiji's reappearance, but it was not so. It was Sri Sukrit Dev Ji who had appeared there and was moving with a stick on the Samadhi. Swamiji had only once appeared near the Samadhi. Sri Sadguru Dev Ji had told me of his second reappearance also before me. This had occurred while I was on tour of Ghazipur district in UP. I saw Swamiji there standing before me just for a short while. Once Swamiji had told me of his accompanying me on my trip to Himalayas. I could make a trip to the mountains only 3 years after his death. When I started moving up the hills beyond Koltawar, I felt tired and so sat down. It was then that the word of Sri Gurudev appeared. What a mockery of bravery! This is how you have started on a trip of the mountains? Afterwards, whenever I used to get tired and sat for rest, his words used to flash. It is only a little farther. While on journey, whenever I used to drink water due to excessive heat, he said, drinking water in such a hot state may cause harm. I reached Sunisikhar Ashram in the night. When, in the morning, I was going for daily obtains, I started looking for the place where Swamiji had composed the Swarved. At the time, I was standing near the cave and thinking about the composition of the Swarved. I heard these 2 words of Gurudev. This is the place over where I had sat and composed the Swarved. These acts of Sri Sadguru Deo Ji, even after his death, make it abundantly clear that the Atma is permanent and indestructible. That's it for today. I reached to page number 32. I'll start onwards. Till then, Jai Sadgurudev and stay blessed.